So welcome everybody, welkom allemaal. In de Werkspoorkwartier, in het Werkspoorkwartier, in de Werkspoorcathedral, de Werkspoorkathedraal. Well, this is a Friday afternoon, it's a launch of the Expodium year program for 2015. Expodium is a trio, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. We have envisioned this afternoon as we're going to do a short introduction on Expodium. We'll do a short introduction on why the year program is called Unmaking the Netherlands, why we are doing this in the Werkspoorkwartier. Then we're going to touch upon those three pillars that is the main frame of our program for 2015. We have two special guests that are going to be telling a little bit about those pillars in the program. And I'm just going to call their names already. It is Iris Peters, who's sitting on the third row over there. And that is Geert van Mil, who's sitting here. A little bit more on them later on. First of all, now perhaps our names. My name is Friso Wiersum.
And my name is Nikos.
And ik ben Bart.
And Bart is going to kick off.
Thanks, Friso, for this nice introduction. First of all, no, I think it's wise, since there's just, well, some people don't speak Dutch, to continue in English. Why not? As much as possible in English, since other people that don't speak English. Exactly, so. I was asked, first of all welcome indeed in the Werkspoorkathedraal, which will be the future venue of Utrecht, being a cultural hub, and this is the place to be, people, and we are helping to get it there. Small introduction of Expodium, indeed, like the three of us. Actually, we have been started in 2003 already, being a organization, a funded organization that was hosting exhibitions mainly with final graduates from the HKU Art Academy in Utrecht, which strongly and fastly developed to being the thing we are. It's more like what we always have been trying to do is to be aware of the social changes in the urban environment and being aware of the social discourse, thinking that art and strongly believing in the autonomous capacity of an artist to contribute to that. Not to solve and to answer questions, but to think along and to add and adapt to the discourse that was taking on either in urban development or other social things. In the past, we started in well, making exhibitions in so-called non-conventional spaces, trying to translate the work the artists were doing in the public space back to the white cube. Over time we decided that this didn't sort of communicate that well, so we decided to move out of this white cube, start a hopping existence, and invite artists in the public space and work in public space. That's how we also ended up over here in Werkspoor. Actually, it's, 2012, I think, the City Council presented a visional report on the transitional phases of this area. A formal industrial area with the ambition to become this cultural hub. And so that's why we became part of the CAMU, Cartesius Museum, which was actually a collective of cultural organizations that had a special interest in this area and thought they could contribute. So did we. So that's how it all became. The past 2 years we, sort of went off the radar, and that's why we're so happy you're all here to be with our rebirth on Unmaking the Netherlands. So, sort of it.
So Bart just introduced Werkspoorkwartier, an ontwikkelvisie in Dutch by the municipality of Utrecht, being published in 2012. And of course the municipality of Utrecht presented many visions for other parts in the city to be developed. Then why is this zone such an important zone for us to be active in? There's a few things. Werkspoorkwartier. Werkspoor used to be a huge factory producing steel for trains and the bridges to cross the waters for the trains to ride on. And Werkspoor came to Utrecht in 1913. So that's like a little more than 100 years ago. And Werkspoor back then was based in Amsterdam. They're producing a lot of steel. And by coming into Utrecht, which was a even smaller provincial town than it is these days, Werkspoor actually was one of those fire starters for the development of Utrecht. The part around you that you have been crossing to get over here was once a completely energizing sector where you could hear the sounds of machines, where you could see trains passing, you could see boats passing by with a steel. And it was the first part in Utrecht that was actually transformed into the 24-hour economy that we now all are actually living in. When Werkspoor started to grow after the Second World War, it was also the first part in Utrecht where migrants from other parts of Europe and later on parts of Northern Africa were coming to work here. So Werkspoor for us is not just a almost forgotten zone in the city itself, but a very important part of the history of Utrecht that opened up Utrecht to the rest of the world, and that opened up Utrecht to the era of globalization that we're all in. So that's a little bit on Werkspoor. If you want to get to know more about Werkspoor, the history, if you feel like it, there's a few books. Those are written in Dutch. And if you more feel like seeing this presented in a playful manner, already I can tell you that on the 20th of June, so in 2 months from now actually, we'll be hosting an opera where one of the poets of the Utrechtse Dichterschilde is writing the text for, and with a combination of cultural entrepreneurs active in this Werkspoorkwartier, we're hosting that opera in the evening on the 20th of June. So stick that to your mind or write it down in your agenda. Then the other little thingy I would be introducing is the title of this year's program, which is called Unmaking the Netherlands. As you can all understand, we don't want to get rid of the Netherlands, nor do we want to unmake the Netherlands by destroying all its buildings or deporting every person living on the soil of the Netherlands to another place. Unmaking for us is rather a way of looking how the built or natural or cultural landscapes are being transformed. And it's a little joke to a huge program which is running this year, which is called Het Jaar van de Ruimte. And the Jaar van de Ruimte, Year of Space, has been called into life by a few ministries that are celebrating the 25-year anniversary of the idea of the VNEX building sites. One of the project leaders is Jeroen Niemans, who is standing on that table. If you want to get to know more about their program, which is called We Make the Netherlands, I suppose Jeroen can tell you a lot more. Well, as a small reference to making the Netherlands, we thought of unmaking the Netherlands. As many of the things that we as Expodium like to touch upon are not just local developments or local analyses, but are global phenomena that we like to see at local level. So it's probably a bit boring to use these words, but we very much believe in the idea if you think global, you have to act local. So if we're thinking about how cities transform or how cities are changed all over the world, we like to apply that knowledge in this little part here in Utrecht and put the things that we can produce here or that we can see here into a multinational or into a global framework. So those were the two little things I was about to say on Werkspoorkwartier. Unmaking the Netherlands. Unmaking the Netherlands is a program that we've built with 3 of us, and we're going to include many partners. Later on we're going to perhaps invite you to join us in realizing a few of them. But before that, it might be nice to hear about what are those 3 pillars and what kind of events will we be hosting this year. And as we are 3, Nikos is going to talk about this.
So welcome also on my behalf. A small addition to what Friso told, and you might also kind of noticed, we framed the idea of unmaking the Netherlands around this concept of a theme park. And this idea of a theme park is not really a park of consumption or a park that it only involves in spectacles, but more a metaphor for a place of envisioning and speculating of the future of this area. But in general, motivating ourselves and all the guests that will be joining to think on creative, let's say, inputs that have to do with how we interact within the city, how we can envision our future, and so forth. So in this line of, let's say, a theme park, we have worked on dividing our program into 3 thematic pillars, 3, let's say, main attractions. One is called urban cannibalism, and basically, to maybe oversimplify it, deals with how the city eats itself. It's a very broad, let's say, perception, but you could see it in terms of consumption patterns in terms of how things have been developed and demolished and somehow follow a natural process and sometimes not so natural. But you can also see it on a more ecological way in terms of how plantation takes over the city and how we are all parts of a living organism, from like buildings to people that interact within it to like nature that is somehow facilitating this whole structure. That's one of our attractions. You will be hearing more about it a bit further, and here at Van Milt we'll also like introduce one aspect of it. Second main attraction, it's called Play, and it's basically how we could envision participating in the city by subverting its everyday, let's say, stereotypical program. So you could consider guerrilla tactics, you could consider like public space interventions, you could consider like the whole concept of gaming that could intrude within the city and invade and somehow stretch and open up in various aspects of our everyday encounters. And the third pillar, it's called the walking culture, that basically addresses walking as a tool of grounding ourselves within a specific geography. And by understanding bodily our like position within it, we can also work and think with a mind of how we somehow occupy this geography. What do we do to it, and what does it do to us? So these are the three thematic pillars. These are, let's say, the main attractions, the conceptual lines that will be guiding all through the program. In terms of how we're going to do that, we have worked on a series of lectures, monthly lectures that will be taking place from the upcoming month, with a small exception in August, where there will be no program. Every monthly lecture will be dedicated to one of the theme attractions, of the park theme attractions. So I don't know if you can see it very clearly, but May is devoted to the walking culture, June in Play, July in urban cannibalism, September again in walking culture, October in Play, November in urban cannibalism, and December we have a wrapping up event, meaning trying to recap all the knowledge that has been produced and all the input that has been given from experts, from us, and from the people that will be attending, including you. At the same time, we are running you could call it an educational program in collaboration with the HKU Fine Arts. So what we have been working on is setting up a group of students from the HKU, third year and fourth year students, that they were actually the ones that maybe guided you inside. So they started building small interventions within the area. We introduce the theme or like the guests of every lecture that will be taking place, and we guide them through working towards small public interventions within the Werkspor area. These are also monthly events. They are exclusive events. They are mostly intended for the students. And there are also like, during this process, we'll recruit artists and thinkers and other special guests that will be joining to just give an additional input to their studies. From June till September, we are working on inviting to our perception quite vibrant and interesting, let's say, practitioners in the field of the art and architecture, that they will be coming in and out around the area and try to construct and let's say give a feedback and give a more, let's say, theoretical input to what is happening. One of them is Dubravka Sekulik. She's an architect that finished also the Jan van Eyck Academy, and she's now a PhD researcher, and she will be dealing with the social dynamics around the area. The other one is Alberto Alles, which is one of the main figures that runs the master program of architecture in Umeå in Sweden, and has been involved in a research trajectory regarding Leidserein. So his interest is somehow positioning Werkspor within these borders of the center of the Utrecht and Leidserein, but also having a more hands-on practice, maybe walk towards a small input and interventions within the area. Of course, as things are piling up and as knowledge has been accumulated and projects are coming into into life, we would like to pick up moments within the whole year and exhibit that. That could be in a more, let's say, conventional perception of an exhibition that could include histories of the area, reference to its previous history, works from the HackerU students, works from the artists that we have recruited, some workshops or lectures from the residence artists and so forth. So we're planning to do this, breaking, let's say, the whole narrative of the whole year in two quite significant moments. September, which is basically the opening of the cultural season in Utrecht, and of course in December where we are wrapping up everything. And what it's still yet to come, and it's something that we're fully working on, is the idea of putting extra stimulus during that project with small events. That could be somebody that is coming in the Netherlands and we kind of like grab him and say, okay, you know what, you could possibly do a workshop or a series of lectures here, or a reading session, or a screening. So feed the whole program apart from the 7 lectures and the preliminary events and the residency and the exhibitions with small, let's say, input that we could have the challenge to actually, you know, invite and add something to the whole, let's say, debate of what we are investigating. And coming up, of course, at the end of December, having finished this whole, let's say, journey, we will be working on a publication that will sum up all of our activities, invite experts to give an input to issues of revitalization and of industrial heritage, issues with this idea of subvert, let's say, activities around like changing our perception around the city and so forth. And we are planning to launch it in March 2016. Having said that, and maybe that's the time to pitch what we're actually doing, practicalities around it. Public lectures are open to the public. They cost €5 per lecture. They're going to be 7 for the whole year. And what we thought it would be nice to do for somebody that is really interested in joining us and be more involved in it is create this Fast Lane Friend membership where people could pay a fee of a price of €25 and have access to all the lectures, all the 7 lectures. At the same time, have discount for the publication and, of course, discounts for all the extra, let's say, bombarded events that will be happening. In case you are interested in acquiring that membership, you can register at the front with the girls, providing your name and email and postal address. And if you pay here, then we can actually make the membership card and send it to you by post and have it and indicate it every time you are willing to join. I think it's quite important for us that we have people that somehow, of course, feel the need to come once in a while, but also have members that are interested in following the whole program and also get a feedback from them, because that will grow a certain, let's say, relation between us and the audience. And that's it for me for now. I will be returning later.